our next recipe, our second recipe is we've traveled now to Japan, and we're going to have and it's inspired, right? It's not something specifically from Japan, but it's inspired from Okinawa, Japan. We're having a warm root and millet salad with orange ginger dressing. And also for this type of weather, I like a warm salad, so this is wonderful. So similar to the Healthy Plate model from Health Canada and the American Institute for Cancer Research, where we say half your plate should be fruits and vegetables, the Blue Zone way of eating makes fruits and vegetables, or vegetables and fruit, the centerpiece of all meals and snacks. And it also replaces, instead of using refined grains, they also use whole grains. And the types of fruits, vegetables, whole grains varies from region to region, which makes it, it's the diversity and flexibility of this approach, right? So you don't always have to use the same foods. This salad, though, contains millet, which actually is a staple of Japan, and has several colorful fruit, vegetables included. And then it's topped with a fruity dressing that just enhances the flavors of this delicious dish. And if you want a protein boost, you can have the salad on its own, or if you want a protein boost, you can put a piece of salmon on top. So small amounts of fish is part of the Blue Zone way of eating. A handful of nuts or a handful of chickpeas are fine too. Yeah. Okay, over to the chef.
All right, so we're going to start off with our root vegetables. So we're going to break this recipe down into 3 sections. We're going to do root vegetables, our dressing, and then talk about the millets as well. So with the root vegetables, you can use whatever you want. This is the time. We have access to, we're getting to the colder months where it might be one of the only local things we can get now. But right now I have some parsnips, I have some carrots, some sweet potato, and some radishes, which we always think of radishes like raw on like a veggie tray with a dip of some sort. Radishes are so much better roasted. You've never roasted radishes before. They are absolutely delicious.
Yeah,
they're so good. So try it roasted. And what's lovely too is all these colors, right? Another vegetable that I have seen used often in a lot of recipes from Okinawa are these purple potatoes, these purple yams. It might be a slightly different variety than the ones we have access to here, but again, another great colorful vegetable.
Exactly. Yeah. And the color. Oh, shall I chat now?
Absolutely.
Okay. So the colors. Those of you that have been in some of our classes know that we talk about phytochemicals or phytonutrients. And so what we have here is a variety of phytonutrients, because the cool thing is that phytonutrients are connected to the pigment in the fruit or vegetables. So the sweet potato that is orange, the carrots that are orange are giving us more of the beta carotene, which is a great antioxidant as well. And then the purple ones are giving us more of anthocyanins, which is another antioxidant. And they work, they both help to reduce damage caused by, our bodily processes of oxidation, but they may interrupt that cycle of cell development at different spots. They can help with building immunity, they can help with being an anti-inflammatory factor. And then yellow, we have a little bit of yellow that also beta carotene, but could also be lutein. And lutein is great for eye health. So they're all antioxidants. Antioxidants in your food is fine. Enjoy them. Yeah.
Beautiful. So just throw them on a pan, a little bit of oil, a little bit of salt, and then any other herbs that you want to throw in there. A lot of these woody herbs go well with root vegetables, so you have rosemary, thyme, sage, and I'm just not fussing with it. Right on top, and then just give it a nice little toss. Now the key that I find works really well, so if you're roasting root vegetables, so you get that really nice caramelization, is toss it so that it's evenly coated with that fat. You don't need too much, but you do want to make sure that it is evenly coated, because that fat will help. That fat will help will help to transfer the heat a little bit better to the vegetables to give you this really nice caramelization. And then the next step is to give yourself a little bit of time to spread out your vegetables, okay? If I have them sort of overlapping each other, you'll get more of a steaming happening because the water does not have enough room to escape. And we don't want steamed root vegetables. We want some nice caramelized root vegetables. So give it a little bit of space, just like that, and then into your oven, 425 degrees Fahrenheit, so a little bit hotter, until you get some really nice color on the outside.
And I see you're using your parchment paper as per usual. The other thing about the fat, it actually helps you absorb more of the antioxidants from the vegetables. So that combination is great as well.
Yeah. So that was quick. Super fast. You don't have one of these ovens, right?
Magic oven.
Yeah, magic ovens. But that is what we're looking for. So some really, really nice color on the parsnips and the carrots. And these radishes, again, you can see like they sort of like blistered a little bit. You have these little wrinkles. They're so good. Really, really nice. Those onions, or actually I had some shallots in there, but really, really nice. That color, you can see my mouth is salivating. I can't even get the words out. That color is that caramelization, right? So that depth of flavor. Little. Ooh, nice shot. There we go. Ooh, all right. That is what we're looking for. Okay. Now, step 2 would be the dressing.
Okay.
For the dressing, I'm going to take out my blender. You can
Do you want me to
this.
move out of the way?
No, you're okay. You can do this by hand as well, but I find it a little bit easier to do with the blender. And what we're going to do is combine some of these ingredients, but the key here is this carrot. Now, if you've ever had like a Japanese salad dressing, sometimes you'll find it like in sushi restaurants, it has this amazing texture, this sort of thickness to it. It's the carrots that they add into the dressing. I love that idea of adding some texture. So it's a little bit different. It's not just like your oil vinegar dressing, but you have something a little more going on. And it also, because of the carrots, adding a little bit of sweetness. So you have this balance between your acid, so your sour, a little bit of your sweets, a little bit of your savory, your umami as well, without needing to add, like sometimes you'll add like sugar or honey to balance it out, but the carrot works really well in this case. So I'm going to grate about a 1/4 cup. I'm eyeballing this, but if you like it a little bit thicker, I'm going to add a little bit more.
So a bit more beta carotene from the carrots. And then what do I see there? Orange.
A little bit of orange. You can add a little bit of zest too, if you want. On the outside, if you like that orange flavor, a lot of the essential oils will be in the zest. So put the zest in there.
And the juice? The zest and the juice.
And the juice. You can use that fork technique again if you want to help with squeezing it.
Ooh. Ooh. Should that reach the people in the
front row? That's the splash zone. I forgot to warn you. A little bit of citrus.
A little bit of vitamin C there.
Yeah, there you go.
Actually, one orange, I mean, we all know that oranges are rich in vitamin C. So one orange this size gives you about 92% of your daily needs.
Oh, wow.
I know.
You got about 5%. Maybe.
Yeah, there.
Yeah. Alright. So clean up a little bit. So orange, carrot. Put a little bit of that zest in there as well.
Smells good. Smells nice and fresh.
Adding some rice wine vinegar, about 2 tablespoons for that acidity. Ginger in my recipe, and I would suggest use fresh. I love the idea of fresh. Ran out of fresh. Thought I had fresh. So this happens at home. We're gonna pivot. We're gonna use a little bit of ground ginger. Now the ground ginger, I would use less, about 1/3 of what you would use fresh. The ground ginger does have a little more of that heat to it. So what did I say? 2 tablespoons of fresh. Yeah. So we're gonna use about like about 2 teaspoons ish. Go to taste. I'll make it a dressing. And then a little bit of miso to this as well. About a tablespoon of miso. This is going to add that umami. If you've never used miso paste, it's a fermented soybean essentially. Super flavorful. Most commonly, you've seen it like maybe a miso soup, but it is great in dressings. It's great in stews, in braises. It's just has this really, really nice sort of savory depth of flavor. Okay, and then a little bit of olive oil, about 4 tablespoons. So we'll just double up on the vinegar, the rice oil vinegar. You have that bottle,
Backup bottle. Kind of heavy duty blender too.
Oh, it's just a standard.
Just a regular?
Yeah, it's just a
Just a standard.
Okay. Blend.
I like to do it. I'm not talking. It's not like when I'm at home and I can mute it.
Sorry, again, after you.
I was just gonna fill in the space, but I realized that when we're here in person, there's no point to fill in the space. But
no mute button.
no mute button. I was just gonna say about the ginger, right? Like it may have some antioxidant, anti-inflammatory properties, and some people who have nausea find it really helpful to have something with ginger. So having ginger root around is a good idea. It can also help with digestion a little bit. So yeah. So I was just gonna talk about ginger.
Okay, so we have this, like the color of it too, just beautiful.
I can really smell the vinegar. I think that's what I smell.
Okay.
No?
Yeah, for sure.
What can you smell anything from this? No. You will.
You will. All right, so dressing is step 2, and then step 3 would be your millet. Now for millet, has anyone used millet before?
No.
Yeah, some of you. Okay. Growing up, this for me, I just remembered as bird food. Like it was. This is what you would.
Wasn't sure where you were going.
We never really cooked it. It was just birdseed. But millet is actually a wonderful whole grain that you can use, and like you mentioned.
Yeah, it's also gluten free, so it's a
Yeah.
great thing. It's a cereal grain, considered whole grain, and gluten free. So good choice.
And then also interesting to note, especially in Okinawa, it was one of the original grains used was this millet grain. And I think they're starting to put efforts into bringing it back. Right. So millet, pretty easy to cook. 1 part of your millet to 2 parts of water. Okay. So 1 to 2, so what I do is toast it in the pan. 1 cup, let's say. So like for like a minute just to toast the grain. That's always a good rule of thumb if you want to get some of that extra flavor out. Just toast your grain before you cook it. And then we're gonna add 2 cups of water. Once that comes up to a boil, cover it with a lid, reduce the heat to low, and cook it for 15 minutes. Okay. Once you cook it for 15 minutes, lift up the lid, you fluff it up with a fork, and then just take it off the heat and just let it sit for like 10 minutes. Okay, and that'll sort of absorb any excess moisture, and what you get is this really nice, fluffy,
You bring it in.
fluffy grain. There we go. Yeah, super fluffy, and it's just this wonderful starch, which is a gluten-free starch, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
So it's another alternative to quinoa. If you've used quinoa before as like your gluten-free alternative, the millet is really, really good. And I don't get the bitterness that you get from quinoa. So.
Yeah, and it's also pretty good in protein. So like 1 cup of the millet gives you about 6 grams of protein and about 2 grams of fiber.
Okay, so we're going to assemble this bowl. This is what I like to do. So a little bit of millet on the bottom. Take those root vegetables.
Those yummy roasted root vegetables.
Does the millet have a flavor?
It's pretty neutral. If you toast it in advance, you'll get a little bit of that sort of like toasted grain flavor, which is nice. But outside of that, it's pretty mild. So it's whatever you add to it that's going to help with the flavor. So we'll put some of those carrots.
This looks beautiful.
Again, I love the look of the roasted radishes. Top. And this, I decided to pick as many colors of the rainbow as I could.
Yes,
This
yes.
could be one. This could be like, don't make it super complicated, but if you have
If
those,
you can.
yeah.
If not, no worries.
There's a couple of those crispy onions.
And you could add, like, can you add Brussels sprouts to it? Just
Brussels sprouts?
no.
Yeah. Brussels sprouts. We're gonna add a little bit of radicchio to it
Oh,
as
radicchio.
well,
Yes.
which is a really nice sort of leafy lettuce, but it's a little bit on the slightly bitter side. But if you don't like bitter, you don't have to add that. This will give it that little bit of freshness.
The little purple in it also gives an indication of some more of those anthocyanins in there. Yeah.
And then we'll take that dressing.
Oh, there's that dressing.
I think this is what will bring it all together. So a little bit of that sweetness, that savoriness, the orange and the ginger and the carrot over the top. And any of that extra dressing will sort of absorb into the grain. So this is definitely a different type of salad, more of a heartier salad. I think perfect for the winter, but also because of that grain, that millet in there, it's a little more filling, it's a little more satiating as well, right? And that is our millet and root vegetable salad with orange ginger
Orange ginger dressing.